Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about something that affects every single person on this planet, whether you are rich or poor, young or old. The topic is inflation. More importantly, we will answer a very important question. Who really benefits from inflation? Most people think inflation is bad. Prices go up, money feels weaker, life becomes harder. And for many people, that is true. But here's the shocking truth. Inflation does not hurt everyone equally. In fact, some people and some groups actually benefit from inflation. Yes, they can even get richer while others struggle. So in this video, I will explain inflation in very simple words. Then we will look at who loses, who survives, and who truly wins during inflation. Stay till the end because the final part will really surprise you. Let's start from the basics. What is inflation? Inflation means prices go up over time. That's it. It sounds simple, but its effects are very powerful and reach almost every part of our lives. For example, if a loaf of bread costs $1 today and next year it costs $1.20, that is inflation. Nothing about the bread changed, but the value of your money did. Your money now buys less than it used to. This is why even if your salary stays the same, you slowly start to feel poorer. You are working just as hard, but your purchasing power is shrinking. Inflation usually happens for a few main reasons. One major cause is when too much money is printed. When there is more money in circulation, each unit of money becomes less valuable. Inflation can also happen when demand is higher than supply. If many people want the same limited goods, sellers raise prices. Rising production costs, such as fuel, electricity, and wages, also push prices higher. Another reason is when governments spend more money than they earn, often leading to debt and money creation. Inflation is not new. It has existed for hundreds of years. Every country in the world experiences inflation at some level. Now let's talk about the big question. How does inflation really affect your future? Does inflation hurt everyone? The short answer is no. Inflation hurts some people badly, affects some people a little, and helps some people a lot. So who are the winners? 1. Governments are one of the biggest winners. Yes, governments benefit from inflation more than most people, and this is one of the least discussed truths about the economy. Governments borrow huge amounts of money by taking loans and issuing bonds. When inflation rises, the real value of that debt goes down. In simple terms, they pay back their loans with weaker money. The amount they owe stays the same on paper, but its real purchasing power is reduced. This makes it easier for governments to manage large debts. At the same time, tax revenues often rise with inflation, while public debt quietly shrinks in real terms. Let me explain simply. If the government borrowed $1 trillion 10 years ago, that money was very valuable at that time. But today, because of inflation, $1 trillion is worth much less in real terms. So the government is paying back debt with cheaper money. Inflation also increases tax revenue. When prices go up, sales tax goes up, income tax goes up, business taxes go up. Even if tax rates stay the same, governments collect more money because prices and wages rise. So inflation helps governments reduce debt pressure and increase income without officially raising taxes. 2. Big banks and financial institutions. Banks are another major winner during inflation. Banks make money by lending money, charging interest, and managing assets. When inflation rises, interest rates usually rise too. That means banks can charge more interest on loans. If you take a loan during inflation, you pay higher interest, banks earn more profit. Banks also benefit because many people panic during inflation and move their money around. This creates more fees, more transactions, and more profits for financial institutions. So while people complain about inflation, banks often quietly make more money. 3.
people with large amounts of debt.
This one surprises many people. People who already have debt can actually benefit from inflation. Why? Because inflation makes money weaker. If you borrowed money before inflation increased, your debt stays the same in numbers, but your income may rise, and the real value of your debt falls. For example, if you borrowed $100,000 to buy a house and inflation rises, your salary may increase over time, but your loan amount does not change, so paying back the loan becomes easier. This is why many rich people and companies are comfortable with debt during inflation.
4. Real estate owners. Property owners are often big winners during inflation. Here's why. When inflation rises, house prices go up, rent prices go up, land value goes up. If you own property, inflation can increase your wealth without you doing anything. At the same time, if you have a mortgage, inflation reduces the real cost of that loan, as we discussed earlier. So property owners benefit in two ways. Asset value increases, debt becomes cheaper. That is why real estate is often called an inflation hedge. Number 5. Owners of hard assets. Hard assets are things like gold, silver, oil, land, commodities. These assets usually rise in value during inflation because they are real, physical things. Money can be printed, but land and gold cannot. When inflation increases, investors rush toward hard assets to protect their wealth. This pushes prices higher. So people who already own these assets often become richer during inflation. 6. Big corporations with pricing power. Large companies with strong brands benefit from inflation more than small businesses. Why? Because they can raise prices easily. For example, food companies, oil companies, tech giants, global brands. When costs rise, these companies increase prices. Customers still buy because they have no choice or because they trust the brand. At the same time, these companies may reduce costs, automate work, or pay workers less in real terms, so their profits remain strong or even increase during inflation. 7. Stock market investors. Sometimes. Inflation and the stock market have a complex relationship. In the short term, inflation can hurt stocks, but in the long term, many stocks rise with inflation. Why? Because company revenues increase with prices. Assets become more valuable. Money moves into stocks as a hedge. Companies that own real assets or have strong pricing power often perform well during inflation. So long-term investors, especially the wealthy, can protect and grow their money through inflation. Who loses the most from inflation? Now let's talk about the other side. 1. Low-income workers. Low-income workers suffer the most. Why? Because their wages rise slowly or not at all, food and rent take most of their income, savings are small or zero. When prices rise, they feel it immediately. They cannot invest in assets or protect their money. Inflation hits them first and hardest. 2. People living on fixed income. People who depend on pensions, fixed salaries, government support lose during inflation. Their income stays the same, but prices rise. This slowly destroys their purchasing power. Over time, life becomes more expensive, but their income does not change. 3. Savers with cash. People who keep money in cash or low-interest accounts lose during inflation. Why? Because inflation acts like a hidden tax on savings. If inflation is 8% and your bank pays 2% interest, you are losing 6% every year in real terms. So cash loses value silently. 4. Small businesses. Small businesses struggle during inflation because costs rise, customers spend less, they cannot raise prices easily, loans become expensive. Many small businesses fail during high inflation periods. Why inflation keeps happening? Now, you may ask, if inflation hurts so many people, why does it keep happening? The answer is simple. Inflation benefits powerful groups. Governments, banks, large corporations, asset owners.
These groups influence policy decisions. Inflation is often seen as a necessary evil to keep the system running. Also, moderate inflation encourages spending. If people believe prices will rise, they spend more today, which boosts the economy. Is inflation always bad? Not always. A small amount of inflation is considered normal and even healthy for an economy. But high inflation increases inequality, hurts the poor, destroys savings, creates social tension. So inflation is not just an economic issue, it is a social issue. How smart people protect themselves from inflation. While we cannot fully control inflation, we can prepare. Smart strategies include investing in assets, learning new skills, increasing income sources, avoiding useless debt, understanding money. Knowledge is power. The more you understand inflation, the less it can hurt you. So who really benefits from inflation? The answer is clear. Governments, banks, big corporations, asset owners, wealthy investors. And who pays the price? Workers, savers, the poor, small businesses. Inflation is not just about rising prices, it is about who gains power and who loses it. Once you understand this, you stop seeing inflation as an accident. You start seeing it as part of a system. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.